Hey every Hey everyone, today I am back with a new video, MOEs versus POEs. MOE stands for Metropolitan Office of Education and POE stands for Provincial Office of Education. So if you're from somewhere like Canada, you would know what a province is, and I guess generally people should know what a province is. I will insert a little map that I am going to pull off the EPIK website to show you what their different MOEs and POEs are, and today I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of both. Okay, first things first. On the application, when you're applying for EPIK, you have to state which MOE or POE you prefer. Again, MOE stands for Metropolitan Office of Education, so this covers the major metro cities in South Korea. So POE again stands for Provincial Office of Education, and this includes all the provinces in Korea. That includes Chungbuk, which is the province that I was in, and I think most or a lot of people prefer to live in a bigger city or a metro city, and so I think most people applying to EPIK tend to gravitate towards putting in MOE as their preferred choice. Mind you, it's just a preference. There are no guarantees. EPIK can place you anywhere ultimately, but they will try to take into consideration your preference depending on when you apply and the demand and so on. Another good thing about MOEs are that generally, to my knowledge, they are all transportation hubs. So for example, when I applied, I remember choosing Daejeon based off very limited research because it was in the middle of the country, it has KTX lines, it has train lines, it has subway lines. Mind you, I didn't end up being placed in Daejeon. I put down the wrong province and city, and I was just totally confused because on the application it says, when I applied, it would say, do not put a specific city or something along the lines of. I thought, okay, Daejeon is a specific city, so I shouldn't be putting Daejeon. At that time, for some reason, when I was doing the app, I didn't know that you were supposed to pick an MOE or a POE. That's probably my own fault. For whatever reason, I was being stupid. So basically, I looked at a map and I said, okay, well, Chungcheongbuk-do area is split into two provinces and Daejeon was right in the middle. So I figured, okay, so I guess I'll just put the surrounding province around Daejeon because that's the city I want. Since I'm not allowed to put a specific city, I didn't communicate that to anyone and no one knew that I wanted Daejeon, so I just ended up picking Chungbuk because it was attached on a map to Daejeon and it was also closer to Seoul. So I said, okay, I'll just put Chungbuk because maybe Daejeon is a part of Chungbuk. No, that's not how it works. POEs, MOEs, they're totally different. I have a feeling most people watching this already know that, and I was the only person that made that stupid mistake, but basically, I had intended to put an MOE down and I ended up putting a POE that was just close to my MOE. So the cons of living in an MOE, and of course this is really just based off what I assume or what I heard from friends that lived in MOEs, because ultimately I don't have that experience myself. The only thing I can think of is that you might still be very spread out from your friends. So I have a friend who lives in Busan, she was placed there, but she's still like an hour out subway ride from the main part of Busan. So even though you get a metro city, because the city is so big and there's so many teachers there, it's definitely very spread out. I think all the foreign teachers are very spread out, but there is a high concentration of these foreign teachers in an MOE area. But again, like I said, you could just be on the outskirts of that MOE still. We don't know. POEs, pros, you get paid 0.1 million Korean won more than MOEs. I don't know why that is. Maybe the POEs just pay more, they have better, I don't know, better budgets, or maybe they're just trying to entice EPIK applicants to apply for POEs because most people don't prefer them. But you do get paid more, so I think that's about maybe like approximately $100 more a month for living in a POE. Of course, the big downfall of POEs is that a province is a very big area, and when you're applying and you get placed in a POE, you don't know where you're going to be within that province. It could be anywhere. You could be in a city, you could be in a really rural town, there's no guarantees again. Either way, there's no guarantees, but of course with the POE, you have even more limited knowledge as to where you're going to be placed because it's just such a big area compared to an MOE. If you request a POE like I did by accident, you will be more likely to get your first choice. If you're someone who wants to really challenge yourself, live somewhere very rural and be out there, most likely alone, pick a POE. Again, like I said, you get paid more, you can still, you know, travel around the country. If you are placed in a POE, don't panic yet if that's not what you wanted, because you may still end up in a decent sized city like I did. And actually, in fact, in my case, and I don't know how many people got as lucky as I did, but in my case, in Chungju, my city, we had a lot of other foreign teachers and we all lived in the same building because it's a small city, so they just kind of clumped all the foreigners together, and so that was really lucky on my part. I guess those are some of the major pros and cons. And of course, keep in mind that either way, again, your first choice is not guaranteed. Some intakes, an MOE might not even be taking any foreigners. For example, when I was applying, Daegu was not even an option because there's just no demand for teachers for whatever reason. For example, maybe there's a lot of renewals in that city or province right now, so they might not be accepting anyone. Your recruiter or coordinator will tell you which MOE or POE is available. Regardless of whether you are placed in an MOE or a POE, you won't know your specific location until you get there, or at least the majority of people won't know. So even if you live in an MOE, you don't know what school you're teaching at, how many schools you're teaching at, what neighborhood you live in. You won't find these things out until you're at orientation, towards the end of orientation. Yeah, that's definitely, as I mentioned before, one of the major downfalls of applying to EPIK is uncertainty. Just not knowing where you're really going to end up and not really being able to control where you're going to end up. Another thing with MOEs, so for Busan, I know for a fact they are kind of different, I would say. You need extra in-class hours for your TOEFL certificate. You don't get your settlement allowance until 6 months in. I think that's to prevent people from breaking their contract. During my intake, when the teachers renewed, they could only renew for 6 months because they wanted to line it up with the beginning of the school year. But in my province, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other provinces, they will renew you for 1 full year. So those are just some minor nuances between the different provinces and cities. Ultimately, do your research, you know, look up the area. There's different areas that are good for different things. I think you're going to really enjoy where you end up and making the most out of wherever you are placed. Unfortunately, I don't know every MOE and POE very well. I don't know how great each and every single one of them is, but that's a high-level overview. Hopefully it was helpful for you. Please leave a comment below if you have any further questions or send me a message. I will try to answer it the best that I can, and good luck with your applications.